So, what do you suggest the women in the West do if everyone's advice is for men in the West to look elsewhere for a wife? What happens to all the women in the West then?
Well, that one study we referenced that said by 2030 or something, 50% of women will be without a man. So that's the direction we're heading, because the men that are looking for those traditional values are starting to go overseas, and then the other half of the men are just checking out completely. They don't want to deal with women at all. So this is going to be a big issue that women are going to deal with in the future as their options dwindle.
Ladies and gentlemen, I often believe that nobody is willing to accept the truth until the truth smacks them square in the jaw. Smack dab in the middle of the forehead, come across you with the pimp hand, until it smacks you in the face, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody wants to believe that the truth is the truth. And in this particular video, this young lady asked a question, by the way, that he did not answer in the clip. I'm gonna just make sure I preface that by saying that. But basically what the young lady was asking was, what can women in the West do to change the fact that, guys are going overseas or checking out of the dating process entirely, right? And for me, when I hear questions like this, I often wonder, what can they do? And to be real with you, from my perspective, there's pretty much nothing that they can do, only because I do believe that the situation for most guys is so far gone that they no longer desire to even remotely circle back to it, even if there is changes made. I.e., let's say, for example, just hypothetically, the greater majority of young ladies in the West choose to turn over a different leaf and somewhat revert back. And I know this is a stretch. Just bear with the example, because I know it'll never happen. But let's say that the greater majority of the young ladies in the West, young modern young ladies, choose to revert back to the ways of old, right? We'll say the 50s, 60s, become that more traditional young lady that once ruled the households and stuff like that. Again, because of modern times, you already know, women in the workplace, you throw it in there, it'll never happen. But hypothetically, even if they did go back to that, but we still had to live with the mindset that these young ladies once were a certain type of way, and we just gonna think that this quick flip of the switch is gonna be what it is gonna be for the rest of our lives or for the future. Nah, not happening. As a matter of fact, I do believe one of my favorite YouTube buddies said that a young lady will stay down for as long as she needs to in order to lock you down, right? So 6 months or so, however long she needs to act right, she will act right if she needs to. And then once she gets you, all that shit go out the window, right? I've seen it and I've heard it happen to a lot of guys, right? I've been with mine for a long time. I mean, if that's an act, Jesus Christ, man, that was the greatest show for the better part of a decade that I've ever seen in my life. But anywho, going back to the topic of conversation, when there's nothing that young ladies can do to change the mindset of guys from going overseas or dating abroad or finding wives abroad, if that's their option, or checking out, period, they checked out because they kind of felt like they were left with no choice, right? It's unfortunate that there aren't, let me preface, no, wait a minute, I can say that it seems, let me make sure I get this right, it seems that there are not a lot of great options for guys in the West anymore, right? And like I said, you got a lot of people that like to throw out the trigger words, such as guys are going overseas to exploit these young ladies and da-da-da-da-da-da. When most of the time that's not the case, because these women are smart as hell. They ain't gonna let these foreigners try to take advantage of them when they already know the reason that they over there is for the reasons that social media has already told them. So they're not dumb. They know what they're coming in for. Like I said, I do believe that to an extent, the majority of these young ladies are willing to compromise and make sure that the situationship, whatever it is mutually beneficial. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that a young lady overseas isn't going to appreciate the fact that you going to give her the monies or to, do things or do nice things for her or whatever and whatnot. Again, it's probably going to be a whole lot cheaper to do it over there than it would be in the West, or dealing with young ladies in the West because they want to try to rape you for your entire bank account, as opposed to you can go overseas and it's not going to cost you as much to probably do the exact same thing or exact same activities. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a young lady, if she's opportunistic, she's not going to take advantage of that. But if she's doing everything that you ask of her, she's acting right, she's doing right, and you find her to be attractive enough to you, I can't even imagine in Western world, Latin America, even in places like the Philippines, Southeast Asia, I can't imagine no guy that's willing to do something nice in return, right? I can't imagine the guys that would not be willing to part ways with a little bit of their cash if a young lady is doing right. And I'm not saying just for the transaction, but it could be just for the transaction. I don't know. There would be guys that would be probably more willing to part ways with their cash and their money, not all of it, but some of it, because you're doing right and you're doing exactly what I needed you to do for me in the moment, right? I don't know how you guys are, but I promise you there have been some young ladies that have come through clutch in downtowns for the good doc, right? And when you come through clutch in the time when I was going through it and you showed up, I got you. Like, I can't help it because, like I said, that's just the way that it was for me. Again, this isn't a everyday occurrence type situation, but it does go to show you that women who are willing to play their part are likely going to be the ones that are getting taken care of. And I find that women in the West just are not necessarily, not all of them, but the greater majority of them are just not willing to play that role, right? Video the other day I saw a woman said she doesn't want to be submissive to her man, and this was in the vows, right? That video went viral. A couple of my favorite content creators covered it. I didn't want to worry about it because it's true. If you can't even say it in the vows, for better or for worse, sickness and health, I will obey. That's what it was. It wasn't being submissive, but obey your husband and shit. If you ain't say it, and she was not willing to say that. She literally skipped over that part. The audacity and the disrespect. My brother just laughed it off. Yeah, laughed it off. That shit really wasn't funny to me, but that's the type of energy that, again, a lot of these beta individuals, and I don't like to use alpha and beta because it sounds so cliche, sounds so saturated, but it's true. If you are beta or you are in this simpish behavior, you guys are going to be the ones that are left to deal with women in the West. Because any guy who has any respect, any value for himself, I promise you he is not going to settle for anything over here, right? He is not going to settle for anything here, right? Especially when he hears about all of the great options and or great opportunities that exist abroad. And abroad doesn't necessarily have to be halfway around the motherfucking world. I know a lot of my brethren who have gone down to Mexico, which is still part of America. They just call it South America, and have found quality young ladies for themselves. So it ain't even a trip. The DR Colombia, that's not a long flight, right? A couple hours, maybe 3 hours. I don't know, because I've never taken a trip yet. Maybe in the future, but I've never taken the trip yet. But you gotta understand that because the internet and social media and all that stuff has made the world smaller, we are able to get a glimpse into life in other countries. We are able to get a glimpse into the culture through the eyes of possible other foreigners, i.e. via YouTube or any other social media platforms. And we can say, yo, that looks like a lot of fun. That brother looks like he is having the time of his life. Why in the world am I over here dealing with something that I don't have to deal with anymore, right? This brother looks like he's having the time of his life, right? Let me at least see if I, to myself, can have the time of my life as well, right? And that's for the guys who choose to take advantage of the ability to be able to travel overseas. Now, for the individuals who have opted to just blatantly check out, I pray for you. I understand the red pill MGTOW mentality. I've heard about it. I never really subscribed to it, but I understand it. A lot of guys, if you're on your purpose, we talked about that in a previous video. If you're on your purpose and you're doing your thug thizzle and you're doing everything that you need to do in order to be successful, then you're probably not going to worry about marriage or even dating. As a matter of fact, we were always taught, even me as a youngin', chase the bread, man. The women will chase you after that. Chase your money, chase your success, and the women will follow, right? Because women love to attach themselves to guys, A, that are successful, B, doing well, and C, making it happen for themselves, right? They love that shit. So if they can see you living your best life, they would probably want to beg you to be a part of that life. Don't even mean you gotta say yes, but you would at least know, in my personal opinion, that you made it at that moment. When you got young ladies who just want to be next to you, right? Just because they see you doing well, right? Again, those aren't the type of people you want around you anyways, but ideally, if you need to go for the bag and you're good with Pornhub or whatever, I can't stand in your way. I would hope that you would interact with young ladies, because I do believe that it's not a great life to live a life where you're not interacting and or dealing with young ladies at all. Like, I don't really feel like that's the best way to go about it, right? Just completely shut down, period. Like, shut down, period, right? Because then that leads to some very antisocial behavior, you know, fucked up mental illness and shit. I don't know. It is you. It is what it is, man. But that's my time, effort, and energy for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, you already know what to do. Share, like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys have any content that you want me to cover, you can leave it in the comment section. You can link it to me in my email, MikeThePIGuide@gmail.com. Appreciate y'all for locking in. This has been a Good Doc. Nothing but love. Appreciate you. Good Doc is out. Peace.